how you marry yourself with that community of self-employed people. Again, they don't call themselves 1099. Hi, I'm Tiny. That's not how they introduce themselves, right? Hi, I'm a bank statement loan, or I do bank statements, or I have bank statements. Nobody does that. Very hard leaning in on how we have loans that make it easier for entrepreneurs to purchase. Entrepreneurs, how to gain home ownership, whether they're a first time buyer or a multiple buyer. And how do we grow that out to let those people understand that, oh my gosh, when I see New American Funding, I know they understand me, because all this other random noise about non-QM or a bank statement loan, they don't understand what that means anyway. So language is connective, and that's how we've again approached everything that we're doing from a marketing standpoint, to have people see us online, because trust is the new currency.
Hi, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. I am super excited today to have Mo Gatling. I call her Mo, and I am so excited to have her on because she's going to talk about something we have never covered on our podcast, that is something that she is passionate about and that I absolutely am passionate about as well. And so today, welcome, Mo. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Been looking forward to this with you. We've been talking about it probably for a couple years now.
We have. I had to narrow you down to dates because you are a busy woman in a good way. And part of what I wanted to introduce about you is that you go and you speak. You've been on Housing Wire. You are connected with people in the industry that influence others. And there's a reason for that. It's because you're an influential person to begin with, and you are about serving diverse communities. So tell us what that looks like and tell us what you've been doing in that area.
Thank you for all the compliments. I appreciate it. What I've been trying to do is maybe challenge the status quo of what it looks like to serve diverse communities. Being a diverse person myself, a woman, and also a Black woman, I realized a few years ago that I don't really see marketing or any connective tissue in the mortgage business that speaks to me. It's very, dare I say, in mortgage, we've stayed the same for many, many years. And we've had the same take on how we market, attract, and nurture people. And because I didn't see myself, I started really, really diving deep to see who else might be left out of what we are portraying as either the dream of home ownership or the want for home ownership, and how, to me, it's not really a one size fits all. So I started deep diving on the psychology of home ownership and the diverse buyer specifically, to figure out what are they missing in this equation when we do advertising. And I found a lot. I think we've talked before, retail sales, I think, is genius. They study their consumer. They study their buying patterns. They study how much money is circulating in the community of people that might be willing to purchase their product. And then they really study where they show up so they can connect with them. And we don't really do that as much in housing. And I think that we should, because it isn't a one size fits all. So that's kind of the start of what led me down this path of really trying to make something comprehensive for a wider audience of people to really feel connected to ownership in a new way, not the way that we established, say, 40, 50 years ago, to connect with Black, Hispanic buyers, veterans, things of that nature. So we've made a platform for it.
Yes, and you go around the country and speak about it. So tell us what you're talking about, where you're going to speak, and why you do it. But really what you cover when you go.
Of course, I have spoke all over the country, coast to coast, and really talking to mortgage companies and real estate agents as well. Because in this day and age, we know that our past consumer, our past buyers aren't necessarily our future buyers for a variety of reasons. For cost, for affordability, for availability of inventory. Those people that we did loans for in the past or sold homes to in the past aren't necessarily who we can tap going forward. So I think that that dynamic has opened up the ability for people to maybe listen and how they can do things a little bit differently to get new clientele, to attract a new set of people. So everybody was really willing to listen on how can they do that and tap these communities that do have money to be able to purchase and the ability and the capacity, and how do we structure that within their organization. So it's a lot of organizational talk. It is tech companies that need to meet their clientele and maybe how they niche down a little bit to have something there for everybody. So that's what we talk about. And especially, I think my specialty started out just because of myself with Black home ownership. I found that when I looked at mortgage advertising, I didn't see myself. And by myself, I mean, did I see something that represented someone that has already purchased homes before, that maybe owns a home, that is a businesswoman, that has high credit? I did not. I didn't see myself pictured even on the advertising to say, you know what, that's me. Because if I did, I would have done a double take. I would have tried to connect with that person advertising in that way, or that company advertising in that way. And what I ended up actually seeing, Irene, that was kind of, it disgusted me, but at the same time said, if nobody else is going to say it, if not me, then who, right? Was the fact that all I saw was FHA, I saw down payment assistance, and I didn't see any of the other things that I just named. So I wanted to change it. And the great thing about marketing and attraction when it comes to your personal business or the company's business when we're in mortgage and real estate is there are no guidelines for it.
Yeah.
You can portray anything that you want, different looking people, different language, of course, as long as it's compliant. And we wanted to focus on that connection to be the choice of the consumer.
I love that. And I love the way you go around and educate people about this, because people don't think about it. They're busy in their mortgage business. They're doing the marketing that they know about, but they're not specifically thinking, who am I targeting? And am I targeting diverse, Hispanic, Black? And you mentioned earlier before we got on this about all the different people that would be considered diverse. Can you tell us about that?
Let's talk about this. As you know, I'm Senior Vice President of Strategic Growth and Expansion at New American Funding. And in the plight to do this and figure out how we could connect better with different groups, we have our NAF promises. And NAF promises include NAF heroes. So that's our veteran community. They have a certain way that they talk, that they want to connect, the way that they want to be able to use their benefits that's unique to them. We have NAF Latino Focus, which does help our Hispanic community, Latino community be able to have products, services, documents in different languages, and things that are familiar to the culture. We have NAF Pride, and we have NAF Black Impact. I'm the champion for NAF Black Impact, but it's all about an originator or a company being able to look at their surrounding area. Like I'm in Las Vegas. So for me, I can pick from any of those things and know that I have things to serve any of those communities. I don't even think of it as a race-based thing. It's a community. What does that community want and need? I feel that as an originator, I want to be in places that allow me to connect with people that will qualify. And if I can pick from those things to really double down on this community that I serve, I can be a better originator. So I'm in Las Vegas. And we don't have a huge Black community, but we have a very thriving Hispanic community where about 35% of home purchases and population is our Hispanic and Latino community. So because we have NAF Latino Focus, I'm able to pick from that as well. It's not based on the originator and who you are and what you look like. It is just simply having the tools to connect with the community that you sit in to do more business and to really be out there as a representative for the people you want to do the loans for and that you want to get into homes.
Yes, I love that. So NAF Pride, tell us about NAF Pride.
NAF Pride, it's for our LGBTQ community plus. Let me add that on there. And it also gives you a way to be able to connect with them. Understanding nomenclature, things that might be specific to the community are important. It's important to understand what their family dynamic might look like. Understand the plight of the community, things that become every day for them, but aren't every day for me. So I become a better steward to the clients that I serve because I have understanding, And if you don't live that life, you think you know, but I'm going to tell you, you don't know. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a lot of things that I can tell you that goes on in my living room, in my kitchen table, and has for generations in my family. And I can share them with you and probably give you a new perspective. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's having a perspective for that community so you don't show up saying you know something and you really don't understand what it's like to walk that mile in their shoes.
Right. Or you're communicating in a way that doesn't connect with that community, you know?
Correct. I think there's a lot of assumptions about how people want to connect. And like I said, I think that a lot for the Black and Hispanic community, especially, it has been like mortgage has thought that the love language of the entire community is down payment assistance and FHA when it's not. Right? My house, I'd be taking out probably a jumbo loan for what my community offers for housing and what I need. And there wasn't representation there. There wasn't representation in non-QM or what business owners call themselves. It's little tweaks in language that make you a better advertiser to that community. You get their attention. They understand that you know where they're coming from as well. Therefore, they choose you to do business with you. And we've been able to prove it in our numbers over the past few years. I've been at NAF for a little over 2 years. We've been able to prove it in our HMDA data for increasing the business that we do in those respective communities. In the Black community, we increased loans closed by over 15% year over year. And
That's fantastic.
over 20% in the Hispanic community because we can track those by HMDA data. So it's not as easy to track veterans and our NAF pride. However, if we can track how we are performing for the other two respectively that show up in HMDA data, we know that we're on the right path and we're getting the attention of those who have choice in the market. That's what it's about. Everybody has a choice as to who they do business with. So how are you showing up to connect with them? Besides the fact that you just do a loan. I'm still licensed. I have 18 state licenses. I actively take applications and still close business in the United States. So I know that I am one out of many who are a choice that just show up to say that I have a license and I can do a loan. I want to have those different things about me, that knowledge, that connective tissue to different communities, and we've been able to provide it.
I love that. What are some resources where originators would go to find out how to learn about the different communities and how to market to them?
I would say first, shameless plug would be to listen to me speak.
Yeah.
Check out some of the things that I have done in the past. I do have a resource guide that I allow a download on for language. I think it starts there. Language is everything. I'll give an example. When we talk about business owners and mortgage for many, many years, especially in the non-QM realm, I will say it's not sexy to advertise, hi, we do non-QM loans. But
Yeah.
for some crazy reason, we did that in mortgage. Think about it. The most non-sexy term you could ever advertise for a product suite, we did that. And when you Google what non-QM is, it doesn't leave a positive impression on consumers. So instead of calling consumers by their tax documents, we wanted to relate to them differently. So we thought about how self-employed people see themselves. What do they call themselves? Like, what do me and you call ourselves? I call myself an entrepreneur.
Me too.
Yes. So why hasn't anybody ever done that? So you don't need permission from a government entity. You need to just decide to do it because that's how you marry yourself with that community of self-employed people. Again, they don't call themselves 1099. Hi, I'm 10. That's not how they introduce themselves, right? Hi, I'm a bank statement loan, or I do bank statements, or I have bank statements. Nobody does that. So we went hard on that too, very hard, leaning in on how we have loans that make it easier for entrepreneurs to purchase.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurs how to gain home ownership, whether they're a first time buyer or a multiple buyer. And how do we grow that out to let those people understand that, oh my gosh, when I see New American Funding, I know they understand me because all this other random noise about non-QM or a bank statement loan, they don't understand what that means anyway. So
Right.
language is connective, and that's how we've again, approached everything that we're doing from a marketing standpoint to have people see us online, because trust is the new currency, right? All the noise of all these advertisements and things, you have to stand out. So how you connect with people, language, I would say, is the first thing. So I do have a language guide that I've made where you can make swap outs for terms that have been used in mortgage for 50 plus years that don't necessarily make sense to the modern day home buyer in 2026. So I would say that's first. There's a couple other resources as well. First Home IQ, full disclosure, you can look them up and they have great resources and they offer a lot of things for originators. I'm on the board of directors there, but we make sure that there's resources for originators across the nation to make that connective, first foot forward when it comes to the consumers that they would serve. And it's a variety of consumers as well.
First Home IQ is amazing. Yeah, I'm in there and it is absolutely amazing. They have
a lot of resources and we're partnering with them as well. So all originators can have some access to that, even if they don't work at New American Funding, and to be able to make some of those swaps in their business so they can stand out.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. I love the resources that you have, and we'll put all that in the show notes. We'll make sure to put the resources in the show notes because people need to know where to go if they're not involved with this, if they've never heard about it or they're not specifically thinking about it, they need to know where to go for the resources.
For sure. And I think anybody in their business, and think about it, those little swaps in language are like no cost to you. If you're already making a flyer, if you're already doing the videos, right, and showing up on social media, if you're already doing the webinars, imagine how your language will attract people and what audience you want. So I'm operating my business almost like a large scale marketing company would in retail, really studying the amount of money that flows through each community, because there's surveys that are out there that do that, but they do them for a purpose of retail spending, etc. That same dollar spend that could be spent on retail could be spent on a home. Okay, so we have to understand that those parallels exist.
Are you holding off on training your loan partners, your loan assistants, your team members and support staff on how to wow your clients? Are they getting that kind of training from you? You probably plan on training them if you get a few extra hours, but when does that happen realistically? And meanwhile, your team is doing the best they can with the information that they have. But this kind of training really doesn't exist anywhere else. When you do the training, that means you're not as responsive as you want to be with your clients, and you're not hitting your closing and income goals as a loan officer. So how much is it costing you to not have a team that's properly trained how to wow clients and referral partners so that they only want to work with you because of the great experience that they're getting? We teach them how to use efficient step-by-step processes and systems that work, how to follow up so nothing falls through the cracks and loans close on time and even early, how to build wonderful relationships with clients, how to wow people so they go, man, that was an amazing experience. The members of his or her team are amazing. They're so on it. How to use scripts and dialogues for winning clients, setting expectations and communicating with clients so that you can prevent problems down the road. How to handle difficult clients, how to make clients feel appreciated and valued, and how to handle and overcome objections. It might be time to ask for some help. That's why we're here. Loan Team Training has our next live WOW training coming up. We train your team for you so you can focus on closing loans. Check it out at loanteamtraining.com for our next class and see how many 5-star reviews we have from past WOW training participants and their loan officers who sent them at loanteamtrainingreviews.com. Remember, it's an interactive virtual training with live trainers, and we train any of your support staff that is communicating with clients and referral partners. Our sessions are 9 to 11:30 Pacific time. Check us out and sign your loan partner or team member up at loanteamtraining.com.
Now, in 2024, a Housing Wire Woman of Influence. I am so glad to announce that. I mean, just think about what that really means. That means that you have gone and given your time and influenced people in a positive way, or you wouldn't have gotten that distinguished honor. And I'm just really so grateful that there's someone like you out there, Mo, who is educating people, especially originators. I see you at all the events I go to. I've heard you speak. You're amazing. And you do it because you're passionate about it. You do it because you want to let people know that there's a different way to do business and a different way to connect with people. And that's so important.
I
And
thank you for that. Like I said, it wasn't on my bingo card. Let me put that out there. I never set out to say I want to get this Woman of Influence award. I just understood in my heart of hearts who is out there buying homes and how I was taking what was prepackaged for me where I worked and what was the industry standard and trying to change it. And it wasn't the industry standard to really look at who's out there. I also feel really passionate about women and their influence and how 76% of buying decisions come down to a woman, which a lot of people don't pay attention to. It's retail, it's mortgage. So whether it's a friend, a spouse, a girlfriend, right? A woman is making some type of decision on, should it be this house? Should it be this loan? Should it be this professional or that professional that I'm going to work with? That's a really huge demographic everybody should be looking at. When mortgage is very, very male dominant to start with, having those things in place in your business, I think, are huge as well. So, like I said, I feel like anybody can do what I do. You just have to be aware of your environment and speak out to make adaptive change so the industry doesn't stay exactly the same.
yes.
It just became more to me to have that legacy and speak up for what I knew to be true. And it's backed by stats. So if anybody asked, I can show you the stat or go look it up in Claude or ChatGPT. You will get the stats that I'm telling you about the money flowing through the community and apply it to what you do every day. And you will see your business expand.
Yes. Not everybody will have the passion enough to go and speak and take their time, their personal time. And I know you have a lot going on in your family with your, all kinds of things are happening in your life, just like everybody else's life. But you've taken the time to, because you're passionate and because you believe in it, you've taken the time to go and speak and do all of the things that help other originators. When you think about originating and you're talking to people, it's not always the number one thing to think about speaking in their language, but it's really important to use the language that matters to the person you're speaking to and to market to that. When it comes to retail marketing, we were talking before we got on here, and I love, a lot of people get irritated by the ads that come up on Instagram or whatever. I love those ads because they are targeted for what I'm looking for. I get a lot of ads on travel, because they know I travel. I get a lot of ads for people my age. I get a lot of ads for keeping your hair looking good and things like that matter to me.
Like
Your
collagen,
skin.
right?
Yes, yes.
Exactly. As I've approached my late 40s, all the things come to me that kind of mirror and it's interesting, right, to see how retail does that. They target you based on age. They look at the other things that you're looking at online to
Yes.
feed you other things that might be in your lane. So imagine what you're missing out on as an entrepreneur in mortgage or real estate because you don't align. The people that are in your city aren't seeing you because you're not doing anything to connect specifically to what their needs are. So I feel that I more than feel, I know that that's how we need to show up in mortgage and do things a little bit differently. You could just operate at a much higher level in your city, in your environment for who you want to reach to make sure your business continues growing. You don't necessarily have to niche down on serving the Black community or the Hispanic community or the veteran community. I think in my city, I have a great mix of all those things. We have 2 military bases here in Las Vegas where I'm at. And like I told you about the culture that's here. So I can just pluck from all the things though. And it gives me such a variety in my business that I don't see one avenue dry up. And that right there is what's magic and amazing. I can talk to agents of all different backgrounds and give them a strategy based on who they serve because I studied each, community. So it does give me a great power as a mortgage professional to be able to do that. And I think that, like I said, I feel like everybody could in fact do that if they start thinking a little bit bigger as to who their clientele is and what they can do to meet them where they are.
Yes. And how does that relate to personal branding? Let's talk about that a little bit, about if they're out there putting content on, should they be mentioning certain communities, or how does that work with when they're out there creating content?
When they're creating content, that's the great thing. You don't even have to mention the community. The language itself already mirrors where that community shows up. So you don't have to talk to everyone that you're talking to now. You're just adding that other layer of language that connects with that particular community. Like I said, if you as an originator love non-QM loans and you see money in those niches, all you would have to do is change your language to speak to entrepreneurs. But let me tell you the secret sauce in that. Most people that are gig workers, we're talking Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, people who do the self-employed gig work, they are largely diverse.
Yes, they are.
Like that. So by talking to entrepreneurs, there you are, you're playing in the diverse communities I just talked to you about. But like I said, when you start talking mortgage jargon to them, like, ooh, we could do a 1099 loan or a bank statement loan, baby, you've lost them entirely. So by doubling down on everything as entrepreneurs, mortgages made easy for entrepreneurs. Have you had a problem getting qualified because you don't file your income like a traditional wage earner? These are all phrases that would make that gig worker, that self-employed person that might need that bank statement loan. Again, the products don't change. Leave the products alone and market the market segment. Market the community of entrepreneurs, and you are playing in that diverse arena. Then you can mirror pictures that are in fact diverse for different communities because we know the lane that the entrepreneurs and the gig workers are in.
Yes.
In your city or your area for people who drive Lyft or Uber. Again, I'm in Vegas. Here, they make a lot of money, okay? They are definitely people who can qualify for mortgages. So there is money in those niches, and I know how to talk to them, and I know who I'm going to get out of that. So my images will match that as well. I would show people that were Latino, Hispanic, Black, and what have you when I talk about entrepreneurs. I'd have the variety. Because right now, the variety doesn't exist. So most of the time, it's not very diverse culturally when you're talking about photos and images. So what I'm saying is talk entrepreneur. You'll get everybody who's an entrepreneur, but then your images can show different people at different times. You don't ever have to say that you're marketing the Black community or marketing the Hispanic community. Your language will do that, period, because you will show up in that lane online with people who speak their love language. Their financial love language is what we're trying to speak.
Yes, I love that. Now, in another area, I wanted to ask you a question. What got you into the mortgage business? I always love to ask that question because it's where you started, right? In the mortgage space.
Well, I started in banking, and then I went and worked for a credit card company. And then when I worked for a credit card company, at that credit card company, I was in the sales department. I was able to refer people that had a lot of credit card debt to be able to do, the credit card company offered HELOCs. Okay. So that was my kind of, putting my toe in the pool of consolidating debts and what that might look like to save people money, take them to a new level in their financial journey. And once I did that, I'm like, ooh, I should go get into mortgage. It was that natural path. If I could sell what I was selling in credit cards or in banking services, I'm like, I could do the mortgage thing. I offer something unique to them, a different way of seeing their mortgage path, whether it be purchase or refinance. Again, being able to talk to people and meet them where they are allowed me to be a top producer at every phase in my career.
That's fantastic. Tell me what you do on a daily basis. What's one habit you have that really helps you in your entrepreneurial journey? Not just in business, but personally. Do you have a routine or a habit that you do consistently that helps you to stay focused and successful?
Ooh, I think as I get older, I need the focus even more. So I do live by my calendar now. I have one master calendar where everything goes, including my personal and my work stuff. It's all combined into one. I cannot live by two separate calendars, and I calendar everything. I think the intentionality in it is what allows me to, where the magic happens, because I'm able to create marketing. I'm able to create new paths of strategy for different people. And what I do, I'll guess you could say, like right now, I'm plotting out my calendar for April. So I put all my personal appointments on it first because my family life, my personal health are number one. So I know some people do it opposite. They put the work things first. And what happens, or what has happened to me when I put the work things first, I realize that I'll end up canceling the work for the personal, which means I'm not showing up in my business. So I got a habit of calendaring the personal appointments, where I need to be for my family, travel, all those things first.
I love
Yes, then when I go back and layer the work, it's intentional. I'm present mentally. I don't cancel on my business, and I can execute at a high level. So that's probably, I'll say, the biggest change that I've made in the last few years to make sure that I'm able to have, I know people say there's no perfect work-life balance, but in my life, my family, things, my personal health is got to be number one. And then show up in my business at 100%. Then I have those personal appointments, and I even make, if I'm going to do content, I have to schedule an hour to do it. So it's moving in intentionality that I can be focused in whatever task I need to get done for my business on that day.
And do you turn off your phone or turn off your messages or anything like that during the time where you really have to focus on that one thing? Not all day, but just on the most important thing of the day.
Yes, I do. I put it on do not disturb for those tasks. And that way I'm not, tempted to pick up my phone. But I do put my phone kind of away from me as well, so it's not in my face, because you'll get distracted by a pop-up. But I've just
Definitely.
made a habit of the intentionality. I relate it to, imagine going to dinner with somebody and they constantly look at their phone. That means they didn't block out the time to be with you. They're not intentionally connecting with you in that moment. Our clients feel it. Your business will feel it.
Absolutely.
Whether you show up half cocked or you were distracted, there could have been you could have shown up better in whatever you were doing. So yes, I've made that habit to make sure that I show up in intentionality, and it helps me do that.
That's great. So, what words of wisdom do you have for loan officers today? Let's finalize this podcast episode with some words of wisdom that you have for loan officers.
I think I would have two, which I can elaborate on a little bit. Number one, don't be afraid to think bigger. I think that we really have niche down where we think mortgage business can come from. And sometimes for a loan officer, you either err on the side of, I work with consumers, I work with real estate agents, or I work with home builders. To me, I feel like there's much more than that we can connect with. That I'm having great success of bringing mortgage methodology based on who needs homes, how we can help them get into homes, and everybody also do well while doing so. The strategy of mortgage, I feel, is huge. So I feel that as a mortgage person, I can connect with businesses in mortgage, because ownership or just having a safe and stable roof over your head is such a hot point if you're going to have successful employees. So businesses want to partner with people like me that live in credit and finances and the actual action of getting the mortgage. And that means I can maneuver in and out of those spaces even better than a real estate agent or builder. So it helps me get directly to the consumer by taking that path. So I think that's huge, of thinking bigger. And then also, don't be afraid. If you try something, it's that moment in time, and you could go back and redo and come back better or refine the thing that you choose to do. So having no fear, I think, is amazing, and not feeling like someone can stop you. I don't feel anybody can stop me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you have fear, that you just work through it, you keep going anyway.
The best thing is when I think I feel uncomfortable, because when I felt uncomfortable and I did it anyway and pressed through, it
Hmm.
showed me a different aspect of myself, my
Yeah.
resilience, my strength. But often because I followed my gut and pushed through it, it resulted in something that was amazing, something that's unique to me that I brought to my clients or the industry. So don't hold back and have the courage to venture out and not sound like everybody else. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Mo. You are an amazing person. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and becoming friends. And I'm so grateful that you took the time today to share all of this wisdom with loan officers. And I'm just grateful. And you've shared some really good things today that people should really be thinking about when they're doing loans, because it's so easy to be busy all day long, and you have your things that you're doing, your to-do list, and you're taking care of clients, and you're taking care of your family, and you're running here to pick up the kids from school, and all of that, taking care of your parents or whatever it is, all of that is happening. And it's so easy to forget that we have other communities to be thinking about and be a little bit more intentional about that. So I would say my advice today is to utilize Mo's resources that she's going to give us. It's going to be in the show notes, and it's just going to be an amazing resource to you. And like you said, Home IQ, all of the different tools that you can get education on. It's really important that we know who we're talking to, we know our audience, and we
Pass that on to your audience. It'll make your job a little bit easier because that attraction is working for you, even when you're not working.
yes.
So it's important. And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to get to know you as a friend, and you are amazing. And what you do for LOs is second to none. So without people like you, we can't, as originators, thrive and be our best in our business as well.
Well, thank you, Mo. And
You're welcome.
thanks for everybody being here today. It was so great to have Mo on today, and she shared some amazing things with us that are really going to help loan officers like you. So if you got value out of it, we would sure appreciate you liking and subscribing. We would really appreciate that. We're trying to get the YouTube channel up and running a little bit more and get the podcast out. So we would really appreciate you letting other people know, letting other loan officers know about the podcast. That would be a great appreciation from us, from me to you. So enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and keep being successful in everything that you do.